thrust of the pod of whales that were there just kind of like gave a big sigh and just swam off. And that was the end of that.
During the commotion at Penn Cove, the call went out to aquariums around the world proclaiming there were whales for sale in Puget Sound. It was the largest whale capture in history. 7 youngsters were caught in all. 2 went to Japan, 1 each to Texas, Australia, the UK, and France, and 1 6-year-old female to Miami. Miami, Florida, the chic, glamour, and fashion capital of the Southeast. The town that boasts a multi-billion-dollar tourism industry adopted a brand new attraction on September 14, 1970. 3,000 miles from home, the young female was unloaded and moved into her new permanent residence at the Miami Seaquarium. She was purchased for a mere $6,000 to become the second captive killer whale on display on the East Coast. Given a brand new identity, she became known as
Lolita, the killer whale.
At the Seaquarium, Lolita was temporarily reunited with Hugo, who was captured from the very same family just 2 years earlier. But he died of mysterious causes in 1980, leaving her alone. Now Lolita is the remaining survivor of the 58 whales kidnapped over the years from Puget Sound. 3 decades later, she is still the star attraction of the Seaquarium, living and performing in a tank not much larger than a hotel swimming pool. Just south of the Seaquarium lives a man whose entire life has been centered on dolphins and whales. His name is Rick O'Barry. Rick spent much of his youth working for the Miami Seaquarium, capturing and training dolphins. He developed a close relationship with the dolphin stars of the popular 1960 series Flipper. Rick quickly became the highest paid animal trainer in the world and captured over 100 dolphins for the entertainment industry.
Well, I was 21 years old at the time, and I just started. My first day on the job was capturing dolphins in Biscayne Bay. In those days, Biscayne Bay was teeming with dolphins. They were everywhere. And in that first year, we captured over 100. And they continued capturing dolphins and depleted the bay to where it's practically empty now. You could buy them right off the Seaquarium boat for $300 a piece, or $350 if you wanted it sized and sexed. And of course, everybody wanted females. So the majority were females that we captured. And we would sort through them and take the young females, take them away from their lactating mothers many times. We sold a great many of them to the Navy, U.S. Navy. And then the Flipper TV series started, and I was promoted to Flipper's trainer, as it were. I actually captured those 7 dolphins. We ended up using 5. Kathy was the one I thought of as Flipper. We used her 99% of the time in the TV series, and when it ended, her life changed dramatically. She didn't have all this activity that she had in intermingling and so forth. Placed in a steel tank at the Seaquarium in isolation, and she died there of self-induced asphyxiation. She just didn't take the next breath. And that's how it is with dolphins and whales. They're not automatic air breathers. Every breath is a conscious effort, and they can end their life anytime they want to by not taking the next breath. The word suicide comes to mind, and that's the only word in the English language that describes that self-induced asphyxiation. I think this happens to orcas in captivity and other dolphins. I think it happens at strandings, but it's never recorded because the facility wants to put their best face forward, and so they would cover that up. But the necropsy would show something. But again, it's filled out by the vet, who is loyal to the client, not the patient. When the Flipper series ended, I left for a while, and then I got a call from the manager, Burton Clark, asking me to come back, that they brought in a whale, the first killer whale in the eastern United States. His name was Hugo, and they built a special tank for him, which houses manatees today. I mean, this is like a teacup for a whale, if you can imagine. When I fed the whale, his tail would actually lie on the bottom, curled up, and his head would be completely out of the water. It was so small. And I was supposed to train him, but I refused to do that or do any show because it looked ridiculous. And I finally left in disgust.
Now Rick works for the World Society for the Protection of Animals. He focuses on dolphin releases rather than captures. And some of these releases, many of which were without permission, have thrust him directly into the media spotlight, and on numerous occasions, behind bars.
I was arrested 12 times, I remember, in 1 year, and always for the same thing, and it was always by my design, for civil disobedience. Today we know there's only 3 things killing dolphins: our pollution, our fishing nets, and our captivity. Captivity kills. I didn't know that when I was 21 years old at the Miami Seaquarium in 1961. The dolphinarium would have you believe that they came out of the sky or God put them there. But in fact, it's a very violent procedure. You have to capture them, separate them from their families, drag them literally kicking and screaming into these tanks, and their job for the rest of their life is to amuse an endless stream of people.
Conditioned to dive and breach on command, the majestic Lolita has been reduced to the level of a pathetic circus clown, a slave for human entertainment. She performs mindless tricks twice daily for the amusement of children and their camera-toting parents. It seems Lolita has become a symbol rather than a living being, a symbol of man's irrepressible desire to dominate nature.
There's a space between us and wildlife, and we haven't learned to respect that space. We are a spectator society, and that's part of the problem. We just can't leave it alone. Dolphins and whales are acoustical creatures, and their primary sense is sonar. When you capture an animal like Lolita and put her in this concrete box, you take away the 2 most important aspects of her life: her family and the world of sound. They use their sonar for capturing fish, chasing fish, for navigating, finding one another. In captivity, in isolation, in a concrete box, they don't use their sonar. There's no need for it. So this becomes a form of sensory deprivation.
To Lolita, her tank must be like an echo chamber, as her calls bounce back from the metal and concrete walls. And one must wonder how the loud music pulsing through the stadium affects her sensitive hearing. Has she been programmed to tune it all out? Maybe she even enjoys performing. After all, she is rewarded for her services.
Dolphins and whales are controlled by food in captivity. The training is controlled by food, and the trainers call this positive reward. But from Lolita's perspective, it's food.